revealed the Theresa May minister and former Conservative MP who has sold out Britain by supporting Mauritius and the People's Republic of China in getting hold of the Chagos Islands. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Please do subscribe to G Live TV podcast. It's a new channel that I'm appearing on. The link is in the description. It's fully launching in the next couple of weeks, but there's videos on there already. Well, I thought Jeffrey Cox was a phenomenal person when I briefly knew him in the House of Commons. He was Theresa May's Attorney General. Now, under that period, he was successfully rebuked by the House of Commons for lying to Parliament. It's the first time a British government has ever been censured in this way by a whole vote of the House. And remember, the Conservatives were in power at the time, fairly obviously. They were the government. And so to lose a vote like that is absolutely phenomenal. And so I will say to you first and foremost that Jeffrey Cox on that occasion was rebuked for being a liar to the House of Commons. And I think it's reasonable to call him a liar again, given that the House of Commons itself called him a liar. Well, Jeffrey Cox remained a barrister during his period of time as an MP. Now, as you know, I believe that MPs should be forced to have second jobs. The reason is because I think that they're far too distant from the British public. There should be less legislation, there should be less work to do in Parliament, there should be a much smaller government, and you should have second jobs. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite and complain about what Jeffrey Cox did. But in the period where he was a Conservative MP, in each parliamentary term, he earned, I think, a total of £2 million a year. £2 million in total as a barrister. That is remarkable. He now has a part-time job in his retirement, which pays £40,000 in legal fees a month. £40,000 a month as a part-time job. He's not doing badly for himself, but he works for the Mauritian government and advised them on human rights and has advised them on various areas of sovereignty issues. Now, he says that he has never directly advised them on the issue of the Chagos Islands, but Guido Fawkes disagrees. He is Britain's most successful Conservative blogger. And frankly, we know that Jeffrey Cox is a liar, as previously mentioned. I think this talks to a wider issue, because I know what you're going to say. Oh, okay, Jeffrey Cox, who cares? Oh, okay, he's one former minister. He worked for Theresa May. He's now retired. He's a has-been politically, though very much he currently is in terms of the legal profession. But my point is this. How many people are living it up at the Inns of Court, making hundreds of thousands of pounds a month by supporting regimes that want to destroy this country, give away our citizenship and sovereignty, overrule our courts, destroy our parliament, bring in uncontrolled immigration, and ensure that the People's Republic of China is perfectly placed to beat us in a war? What they're sat there doing is they're going, well, at least I get a £10 million house out of it. Where is the patriotism and decency in this country? You know, when I was younger, I was brought up that the people who were most educated in the country, the most wealthy, were the people who benefited most from the country, and they should be the people that lead first in the First World War. The kids at my school were all second lieutenants, and they led the charge of the men in the Somme, I think the 17th Irish, I might be wrong. I don't know a great deal about the PALS regiments or the Chums battalions, whatever they're called, from the First World War. But the point is that there was a time when people behaved in a decent and moral fashion, rather than just saying, oh, well, the Mauritius is a vassal state to China. It now wants the Chagos Islands so China can build a major military base there, so it can invade Taiwan. But hey, at least I'm earning $40,000 a month to do it. It's exactly the same as Richard Harmer. He is somebody who's constantly sought to use the Human Rights Act to undermine British law, to stop people stop us from ever being able to protect our borders. We saw a court recently. By the way, the judiciary is now self-appointed. There is no political involvement anymore in the appointment of judges, and I think that's why the judges are going more and more crazy. But of course, what we saw with this Gazan family, where they claimed the right to asylum to the United Kingdom as Gazans under the Ukrainian resettlement scheme. I wouldn't mind. They did it in a month when the Ukrainian settlement scheme is likely to be abolished on the grounds that the war between Ukraine and Russia is likely to end. Certainly, I believe this ceasefire is going to go ahead, and you and I can argue all day about whether we think the deal was right, whether we think Putin should have been allowed to keep, or should be allowed to keep the territory, whether you believe Zelensky should have held an election. We can argue all those things. But equally, let's just be clear. The number of Ukrainians that came to Britain for asylum was virtually nil. A few thousand, tens of thousands, nothing compared to what we expect. And that's because of what I have said time and time again. Genuine refugees want to just cross the border and go to the nearest safe country, which is precisely why the UN law is written in that way. If it was me, the only countries you'd be able to flee from would be Ireland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, I think, France, probably the Benelux countries, because we are, if you like, next to them. Now, if you flee Uganda and the next door country is not safe, and the one next door to that's not safe, and the one next door to that's not safe, and the one next door to that's not safe, all the way through, and you end up the next door one is Britain, fill your boots, no problem. But actually, it shouldn't be people just going, oh, Tokyo looks lovely. And the benefits there are superb, although the Japanese don't put up with it. But this is what human rights lawyers have done. Shame on Jeffrey Cox. And actually, you know, maybe now when he said he was standing up for Britain and voting for Brexit, maybe now we know that in fact he was right to be rebuked for being a liar. Because in fact, what I can see is instead of standing up for this country in quite a genuine and fulsome fashion, what he has done instead is he's taken the money and run. We need to have a new view on the legal profession. I know it sounds like I've got a downer on them. By the way, I stopped ranting about the police, now I'm ranting about the judiciary. But actually, I think that what I would say to you more than anything else is that the United Kingdom was made great by these great institutions. Yes, we were a limited government. Yes, we made mistakes. But I think things like, you know, the professionalism of the police, things like the independence of the judiciary, things like, you know, the public duty of members of parliament, the hereditary peerage, who I was talking to Viscount Monkton. You've got to remember, he doesn't lose his title, but he's lost his seat in the Lords. And so actually, in reality, he gets all the benefits of being a peer with none of the actual work. I thought it was a really interesting point. But all of these institutions now have been taken over by the left, and they've been destroyed, and they've been turned into something that works very much against you. And I think that's something that we ought not to accept in this country. And so I encourage you to read the article on Guido Fawkes, by Guido Fawkes about Jeffrey Cox. But also, I'm going to now put my link to the Patriot Fund, which is an opportunity for you to donate, for us to undertake political activities together and try and make this country great. Again, I'll let you into a little secret as you've watched this far. What I'm going to do with the money that's been donated so far is fund a national tour and go out and about talking to people right across the country, hopefully spreading the word of patriotism, spreading the word of decency, spreading the word of honesty. Some people have donated large amounts, some people have donated small amounts. If you can't afford it, don't donate anything at all. The fund will do various things, and one of them will be to invite you to events in the future so you can contribute by standing up and saying your piece. I think it's really exciting. It's small acorns at the moment, but I'll give you more information in the fullness of time. So there we go. God, I've asked you to do loads of things. Read the Guido Fawkes article. Have a look at G Live TV podcast, which I think is worth watching, and also consider donating to the Patriot Fund. Okay, that's what you've got to do. Until next time, arrivederci and goodbye.